Guys, have you been sent a novated lease quote by your provider? You've sat down and looked at the quote and you have absolutely no idea what you're looking at. In this video, I'm going to go through an actual quote. It's been sent across to me. It's from a very reputable novated lease provider and it's on real numbers. They were given this quote and they've asked me, what are some things to look out for? So I thought, why don't I remove all of the identifying information, which I've done. So there's no indication on who has provided this, nor is there an indication on the individual's name, where they work, all that sort of thing. But it's a genuine salary and it's the real numbers that they've been sent. Hey guys, if we haven't met, my name is Mitch and I cover all things to do with personal finance, particularly those that may affect the average Australian's back pocket. So if you're interested in all that stuff, then follow along. And other than that, let's jump into this quote and check out exactly what you need to look out for when it comes to your own novated lease. Right, so now we're down on the desktop here, looking at this quote. Now this, like I said before, is an actual quote, how it was presented to this person, and then they've passed it on to me. I've de-identified it, but we can see here, one thing I've left is it's $178,000 a year annual gross salary, which is quite a high salary. So a 60-month term is what this person's getting a quote on. And that's going to be relevant when I go through a few of the things to watch out for and the traps with these sorts of things after we go through the numbers. Big tick in the fact that they're buying an EV. So this is what I talk about. It is using this particular financing method on an EV vehicle as the benefits are far greater than if you were using it to finance, a standard ICE vehicle or anything that's not full EV. First thing to note, the price is exclusive of GST. So of course, that's one of the big benefits of a novated lease is that the GST will be taken off the financing amount. You won't be paying for that. So when we add up the price plus the on-roads being the stamp duty and the registration and CTP, that will give us the amount that we're financing. And we'll have a look at that in a second when we jump over to a finance calculator. But I want you to note the things that they draw your attention to. And this is what people need to watch out for. There's a lot of numbers on these quotes. And the big purple banner is obviously where they want to draw your attention. So you've got a GST saving on purchase price. Great. That is amazing. Everyone's going to be thinking, look at this. I'm going to save $5,000 straight off the bat. And it's true. They will. So the average person financing on any other method will be paying the GST, whereas the novated lease option will not. But then we're going to go straight into how much will it cost me. So they're saying it will be a reduction to your take-home pay. And I want you to note that because that's not actually what it's going to cost you. It's the reduction in your pay. So in some ways it is, but if you don't take some things into consideration, then your situation changes. It may cost you more, which we'll go through in a minute. But the reduction for this individual is $398.71 per fortnight. That reduction is actually factoring in the tax saving, which they're going to get. And if you don't understand how the tax savings work, then I'd probably suggest watching one of my other videos where we break down exactly how a novated lease can benefit you and the way that it does reduce your tax or reduce your taxable income, therefore your tax paid. Now, the tax saving summary here, it's going to add up all of the GST essentially that you save on your running costs, the GST you save on the purchase price of the vehicle and your income tax over the life of this 5-year lease. And again, a big purple banner drawing their attention to $41,000 worth of savings. This is where I want to get into what people should really be looking at. And you'll note that we've been scrolling down here and where you would normally see on a loan, any sort of other loan, a personal loan, consumer, fixed rate car loan, anything from a dealership, if you're doing consumer finance, will have the interest rate in this section here. So you would expect to see where the residual is, the residual payment, the loan term, you'd expect to see an interest rate. Can you see one here? No, you can't. And this is one of the things that I really try and get people to watch out for because they get caught up in the big saving numbers. And at the end of the day, like I've said previously, there is a finance product behind this. There's a lot of numbers, a lot of tax saving, but it's still somewhat negotiable and you need to watch out for these, that you're not just going into it blind, paying whatever interest rate they offer, or they're not even offering you one. They're effectively not telling you what it is because this particular product is, they're able to avoid having to display it if they want to. So when we go down, let's work out how we would go about it. So this here, where we see lease payment fixed. Now, this is because it is a fixed rate loan. Anything that you see budgeted is what you're budgeting for and money that you're going to be able to spend on operating your vehicle. But the fixed price or the fixed amount is because it's the loan. Okay, so the 5-year loan with the residual. Now, the lease payment in this particular instance is $489.50 per fortnight. Now, what I would normally suggest people to do is we jump over to a calculator. So let's have a look at one and I'll jump into that now. Okay, so a few things here on the screen. We've got the calculator that I'm going to use to just work things backwards, and then not just a normal calculator. What we're going to do is we've got the price here, so 5,900. I mean, you should know this information anyway because it's the driveway price of your car, effectively, less the GST. So 54,195 will be the vehicle driveway price, 54,195. And we're going to have no deposit, of course. Novated lease, you can never have a deposit. The interest rate, let's leave it at 895 for now. Loan term for this person, 5 years. And the residual input method, we're going to use manual. So let's just input exactly what they're financing here, which is a 15,245 residual, 15,245. Okay, so this is where we start to work things backwards. So we can see here the fortnightly repayment on a structure like this should be $424 per fortnight. And as we scroll back down, let's go to this. So we can see here that this payment is $489.50. Now, what is the one variable we don't have? We've talked about it. It's the interest rate. So if we see here that we've got an 8.95% rate, and then we start to play with this to work towards it, maybe it's an 11% rate. No, 11%, we're still at 454. Let's move it to a 13% rate, 484, pretty close. So I'd say maybe 13.25, not even, 13.3. So basically we're at 13.25, 13.3, that sort of ballpark. Now, that is what I try and tell people to look out for. 13.25% is what the interest rate equates to on this sort of lease repayment. And then there's actually an additional cost here, which is the administration fee, which hasn't been factored into this payment. So $16.15 is fortnightly on this particular one. So let's add that in too. So 16.15 times that by 130. So that's an extra $2,000 in administration fees. So guys, you can see when you get these quotes, it's important to work them backwards, not just see the savings number. And the savings number is genuine at the end of the day. So look, these sorts of things may still work out in your favor, particularly if you're on very high salaries. But when you're on $180,000 a year, that person's likely been in their career a while. They're potentially a homeowner, got their own mortgage. Maybe they've paid their house off. All I'm saying is someone in this position is likely eligible for something around, say, 7.5%, 8% from their bank. And we're effectively asking them to pay double that when we come to using this provider here. So you really need to understand that behind this novated lease is a loan product, and we still need to do all of our normal due diligence in understanding the interest rates and the fees. Now, what can you do, I guess, in order to combat that is to just go through the numbers yourself and then present it back to someone who you're working with on a novated lease and say, well, I've worked this out to be approximately this sort of interest rate. Surely there's a better interest rate available for me. And the reasons why I think it's important to do that is because if you sign up for something like this, even though you might see it as a way to say, saving you money, if you sign up and you're locked in for 5 years, what happens if you lose your job or you decide to leave your job and the new employer that you go to doesn't actually allow novated leases? It's a great job opportunity. You really want to take it, but you're locked into this 5-year lease that if you jump out of that lease and you're not using the benefit of novating it through your employer, then you're going to be paying a standard car loan at almost double the interest rate which you would otherwise be eligible for. And to me, that doesn't seem like a good deal. And the other things you want to think about is that you're pairing this with lack of flexibility. You're having the residual figure on there, and you're also incurring extra fees for them to manage this arrangement for you. So all these things taken into account, really you need to do the due diligence to make sure you're getting a good deal on a novated lease and not just be caught up in all of the big banners that they've got on there about all the savings, because without doing that, you're going to be overpaying. And if you were doing a normal finance option, you wouldn't want to overpay on that either. So it needs to be treated in exactly the same way. So like I said, Relatively short one, guys. Just wanted to run through that quote. I hope that was useful for you. So if you have gotten any benefit out of this, I would really love if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers, and that's a big milestone for a small YouTube creator like myself. And it really gives me the encouragement to keep going, keep making these sorts of educational videos for you guys. Otherwise, guys, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.